Welcome to the Hannity program. Tonight, with the political conventions over, finally after 2 weeks, the race for the White House officially begins today. I'm Tucker Carlson in for Sean tonight. Well, the Democrats are trying to take a victory lap after Hillary's nomination last night. Donald Trump is campaigning hard in the key battleground states. Earlier today, he reacted to Hillary's DNC speech. Here's part of what he said.
I watched last night. I watched Hillary Clinton. What a sad situation. And I watched last night as the network said it was all right, it was good, they were fine. And then I watched this morning. It was unbelievable. It was so wonderful. It wasn't wonderful, folks. And it was all cliches. You know, they used a little tweet one on me about tweet. And she said something about the campaign. Donald Trump doesn't know how to campaign, something like that. I just beat 16 people, and I'm beating her. You know? I'll tell you what. I liked the Republican convention better. I did. I liked it better. I've been nice. But after watching that performance last night, such lies, I don't have to be so nice anymore. I'm taking the gloves off, right? Yes? Take the gloves off. Take the gloves off.
He's not kidding around now, says Donald Trump. Also, Fox has learned, and this is breaking news, that the FBI is now investigating an apparent cyber attack on the Clinton campaign. Well, here to react to it all is the Republican National Committee Chairman, Reince Priebus, who joins us live. Mr. Chairman, it's great to see you tonight. So first, just to the news about the DNC, the Hillary Clinton campaign being hacked. What do you know about it, and does it make you nervous that the Trump campaign or the RNC could be hacked?
Well, I'm pretty much always nervous about a lot of things, Tucker. It's great to be on your show. It's unclear whether the one hack on the DNC was on the same platform as the DCCC and the Clinton campaign. So that's what folks are trying to figure out, whether this is just one big hack that affected everybody, or if these were separate hack jobs on a similar type of similar passcode, similar approach on each of them, and we don't know that either at the RNC, and we're obviously checking our own servers and having various folks come in. So far, we seem to feel pretty clean right now, but you never know. I mean, there's so many different ways to get this stuff done that you just don't know, but we're feeling that we're okay. But it doesn't mean that we don't think it's, you know, pathetic that this is happening to others. We don't wish this on anyone, by the way.
No, you don't. Might be time to revert to communicating by Post-it note. So nobody's watching the Hillary campaign more closely than you are. Presumably you watched all the speeches at the DNC. Give us your most detached and objective assessment of what Hillary's running on. If you, because I actually don't know, if you could summarize her campaign theme in a couple of sentences, what would it be?
That everything's just fine, and that things are great, and we're moving along, and we want to keep moving along just the way we are. I think you can try to create that fantasy land is what they're trying to do, but the takeaway that I had last night was, number one, she's forgotten who's been in charge of the country for the past 8 years. They know that, of course. They're setting up an alternative universe, and so she forgot about that. It's Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. She also failed to really talk about ISIS and the threat of terrorism around the world, which falls squarely upon her plate, and she didn't talk about that because it's a total and utter failure on her part. And so the other piece that I thought was that the mainstream media wasn't talking about today, you all have been, but that she was interrupted 18 times, not with applause in favor of her, but with opposition, jeering, booing, talking about war, talking about Bernie Sanders, and this was not a unified evening for Hillary Clinton. So to me, I think that will catch up with them, and the reality of who was in charge and where ISIS is at and her role and her failure and all of that will eventually catch up with her, and I think that's why Donald Trump is anywhere from 4 to 7 points ahead today.
What percentage of Bernie voters do you think he can get, realistically?
You know, it's hard to tell. I mean, obviously not many of the delegates, but man alive, you'd think from the sound of it, some of them would come to Trump. But you know, look, if he can get 10 to 15% of those people that have had it with Washington and looked at Bernie Sanders as a guy that was just going to shake up the system, that would be a victory for Donald Trump, and I don't think he can lose if he gets 10 to 15% of those voters. And so that's what they are. They're just mad. Like a lot of the folks that are supporting Donald Trump, and they're rightfully so. They're mad at the fact that people have been lying to them for all these years, and they've had it, and they have a vehicle to punch Washington in the nose, and part of that support has that attitude, and that's on the Bernie Sanders side, too.
So one thing I noticed sitting through a week of the Democratic convention is, so Hillary faces a threat from the left, Bernie Sanders, and she marshals to her side every famous Democrat you have ever heard of, ever. Former president, obviously her husband, but I mean every just official and poobah. Donald Trump, abandoned basically by the Republican establishment, by John Kasich, by Jeb Bush, the list goes on. If he loses, do you think that Trump voters will have a right to look at people like Kasich and Jeb Bush and say, Hillary's in the White House in part because you didn't help?
Well, I don't think that's going to last long, Tucker. Maybe I'm just an eternal optimist. I think they will be on board. Look, at 90% of the Republicans are on board. You have a handful of people that aren't. They should be on board. They have agreed to be on board. They're not on board. They should get on board. But, you know, I actually think that when you look at these two parties right now, you have two huge change movements happening within both parties. The difference is that the Republican Party has chosen the change movement candidate in Donald Trump. The Democrats chose the status quo entity in their party. I think it's going to come to roost. I think they're going to lose support. And I think that ultimately these elections, the national cultural votes, are about movements. They're not about standing still. And that's why I think Donald Trump will win in November.
They are dynamic for sure. Reince Priebus, the man with the toughest job in the world. It's great to see you tonight. Thanks for doing this.